Welcome back to the Daily News Network. It's time for Finding Your Frequency, and today it's about frequency of excellence. I have author, speaker, friend, Scott Millson joining me. Hey, Scott, how are you?
Yep. Thanks so much for having me.
Great to see you.
Yeah, really appreciate it.
So obviously we have the connection through frequency. Tell me how you came up with the idea of frequency of excellence for your book and your presentation.
Yeah, so a good friend of mine, some people may know here in Jacksonville, a Jacksonville boy, John Rivers. He had Four Rivers fame, pretty good barbecue.
Really good barbecue.
Yeah, really good brisket in particular. And so John and I were in a small men's group at that time, and he used to share with me this concept of frequency, that in this case, it was kind of a faith-based thing of kind of, spirituality and lessons to be learned are all around us. We got to be dialed into the right frequency. And so I kind of took that, and John became a long-term, he's a friend, he's a mentor. And so I really kind of leaned in on that a good bit. And so I kind of stole it and borrowed it from him. And
it's like gin rummy, the best ideas come off the discard pile.
With his permission.
Yeah, for sure.
And I just said, John, I have spent my entire career pulling pieces of information and different skills from other people and apply them to myself. And so, I'd like to use this idea of frequency of excellence. And so for me, my entire career, I've been surrounded by excellence, not necessarily by anything I was able to do, but the people that I was surrounded by, the mentors that shaped me. I just had to be smart enough to sit back, watch and listen and learn. And I did. And so I was dialed into their frequency. And so when I saw them do something that was exceptional, I took that, I borrowed it, added it to my being. It became part of who I am. And so anything I am as a leader, as a salesperson, as a manager, as a communicator, all came from the mentors that kind of came before me. And I borrowed that from them.
I talk all the time about, who are you? Who do you want to be? Right. And what will it take to get there? And the first thing is to find your frequency.
That's
Figure
right.
out those key questions.
Yeah.
You go a step beyond that now and talk about where you're at and how you figure out the excellence around you. You have a principle of the B5s.
Yeah.
Share that with us and how they came to be.
Yeah. So for me, my life mission kind of became, okay, I was able to experience all this excellence I was able to find and tuning into the frequency. How can that apply for other people as well? And so for me, I came up with this, what I call the B5 framework. And it's 5B statements, 5B action statements that anybody can do that allows you to kind of find that frequency, to really be dialed in. And so the first one is to be intentional. Be intentional means to surround yourself with excellence. And it's iron sharpens iron. It's the high tide lifts all boats. Surround yourself with people who are exceptional at what they do and have a growth mindset, want to learn from them. And so when you're intentional about the people with whom you surround yourself, the opportunities to witness excellence increase dramatically.
Yeah. Listen, I'm feeling pretty good about myself right now.
Present company definitely included here.
Right.
But and the second one is to be present. And so, when you're with somebody, and it's really overused today, is to be present, right? We're all distracted by so many different things, but the need for us to be present is probably never more important than it is today. And so I think the opportunity to be truly present with somebody, I have a friend of mine who's does a lot with people on stage, et cetera, and really trying to help them with their communication skills, et cetera. And improvisation is a big thing with him. And he calls it an improvisational mindset. An improvisational mindset is by definition being present. Because if you ever try to do improv, in any type of improv, you got to be present. You got to be listening to that person and playing off of what they're saying. That's what being present is really trying to lean in on that and listen to the people, truly listen to what's going on. And then the next one is be curious. And so the third B is to be curious, because when you're with somebody and you're present, your need to be curious with them. And again, when they say something, ask a follow-up question, really try to dive into what is what is it that they're trying to say, or why did they come up with something? So when you see a salesperson or an exceptional leader do something, like you being around Tom Coughlin, right?
Oh yeah.
When you're around Mr. Coughlin or Tom or whatever you call him, I don't call him Tom.
Coach.
Whenever you're around Tom, you wanted to say, like, why did you do that? Be curious and ask 3 to 4 questions of like, what was your thought process there? And so when you are that curious, it starts to just kind of happen naturally.
I hate to interrupt you, but have you seen the Ted Lasso clip about curiosity?
I love it. Absolutely love it. It's perfect.
It fits exactly what you're saying. What are the final 2?
Yeah. And so the last 2 are to be reflection, to be reflective. Right. When you experience all these things, to add them into your being. So when you witness excellence, take it, add it into yourself. And so you're being reflective of that. And so you're constantly trying to reflect and learn from those different things. And the last one is to be bold. And being bold is about learning from our mistakes. And I've told people before, if I'm ever going to write a second book, it would be about all the failures I've had in my life, which I've had plenty. And it'd be War and Peace size novel, of the number of failures. But to lean in on that and being bold is about having a failure, then being okay with that.
The funny thing about it is the term bold fits, but the converse of that is you're vulnerable, right? I mean, when you get on stage and you share that message, you're asking people to be vulnerable, and you're being vulnerable
100%.
in that moment.
Yeah.
That really opens doors.
Yeah. It builds, even if I'm on a stage and I don't have a relationship with somebody can relate to me because they've experienced failure. I've experienced failure. You've experienced failure. We've all experienced those things. So there's some shared commonality there. And I think it helps my message get across to people versus me standing on a stage saying, I've figured it all out, right? I got it down pat. I clearly do not. I am far from that.
Well, this book, by the way, would tell people that you figured some things out, obviously, about dialing in the frequency of excellence. Where can people get the book? How do they connect with you? If someone is listening to this right now and says, he would be perfect for my group, how do they find you?
Yeah, so I'm on the web. So my website is scottmillson.com. My email is scott@scottmillson.com pretty easily.
Yeah.
It's Millson. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me lots of different places. But yeah, I'd love the opportunity to come speak for an audience and try to help them figure out how they can tune into the frequency and to tune out those distractions that kind of get in our way.
And we'll share that all in the show notes. Now, time for my questions.
Yeah.
Ready?
Yeah.
Everybody has a life-defining moment. Most people have more than one. Share one with us.
Yeah. So I'll go back. So I was an 18-year-old. My parents had to deal with me that I was going to pay for 50% of my college. So they had the means to do it, but they said, you know what, if it's your money on the line, you're going to study a little bit more and be a little bit more intentional about what you're doing in school. So I did. And I got about midway through my freshman year and I realized I wasn't going to have enough money. So I got a fateful call from a US Navy recruiter that said, we're offering a new program for college students called the Sea and Air Mariner program. And I could join, go to boot camp between my freshman and sophomore years. And that was a defining moment for me. I realized in that moment that I was willing to do whatever it took for me in that moment, for my family down the line. But it also gave me a lesson about at the beginning of the second week, you're doing everything Navy, right? Being told how to march in formation and doing all these things in boot camp. And we were sitting down and they were teaching us how to fold our dungarees, our dress blues, our undershirts, and our skivvies, our underwear.
Right.
And that sounds really silly to say a life-defining moment came from that. But I remember being curious and being present. I asked our company commander, I said, Chief, why does Uncle Sam care how I fold my underwear? And he looked me dead in the eye and I'll never forget it. He said, how you do anything is how you do everything. Boom. Like it was just a light bulb went off in my mind. I didn't quite understand it, but I asked questions. I was curious and said, help me understand that. And he did. And he laid it out in very, very simple terms for me that said, look, when you go out into the Navy, when you go out into the fleet, you're going to be pre-flighting a naval aircraft. And if you half-heart it, it isn't going to go well. Property damage, lives are going to be in danger. How you do anything is how you do everything. And from that moment forward, I knew what excellence looked like. And I was aiming to try to have that in my life at all times.
Second question. We have obstacles every day. All of us do. Mountains to climb, so to speak. Give us one in your life, maybe from the speaking business. And when you got to the other side of it, you thought, I got this. I
don't think I've got it. Definitely not on the speaking side. So I'm working to try to get there. It is a journey. It's certainly not a destination.
I would agree. I know that.
Yeah. And so you're constantly trying to do that. And I think one of the things, and we've talked about this before, is, you have the ability to fall victim to that imposter syndrome, right? You see other people out there that are on a stage and you're doing things and you were like, why don't I have that? Well, I just keep coming back to, I want to make an impact on people. I want to encourage people. If I'm standing in a room of 50 people, I'm good with that, right? I don't need to be in front of 10,000 in an arena. I want to spread my message of how to tune in and encourage people to find the frequency of excellence and to figure out what the static is in their life so they can remove that. That's really what I'm aiming for. And if I can do that to one person,
right,
I'm golden.
Well, you've done it to me today.
Well,
so check that one off the box, which leads to the final point. A tip. I mean, you've given the B5s, right? But that last point in particular, because everybody deals with the negative self-talk that comes from what you see on social media or what you see from coworkers and things. How do you get through that? How do you remind yourself every day of who you are and what you're all about?
Yeah, for me, it's really, kind of leaning into all the B5s, it really is about learning from my mistakes and times that I was not maybe as confident in something I was doing, learning from that. And so for me, I'm an everyman. right? I'm a career B student, spent my life and career really fighting to try to get that A. And I knew that I was going to have to outwork people and I was going to have to outlearn people. And so I've had a growth mindset. And so at the core of the frequency of excellence is a growth mindset and saying, where I am today, I want to be better tomorrow as a result of that. And what can I do to grow? And whether I'm sitting with you across from you eating barbecue and learning from what you've gone through.
We did, by the way.
Which we will do, and we will do again.
Yeah, we will.
So it's that constant journey of wanting to learn, knowing again, it's not a destination. I got to constantly be working at this. I got to constantly be grinding at it. And so that's been my goal, and that's what I hope to achieve in life.
I'm going to dial in the frequency of excellence. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you making the trip and spending some time, and I hope that we will do this on a regular basis.
Absolutely. Look forward to it.
ScottMillson.com is where you can find him, and right here on the Daily News Network. That'll do it for this edition of Finding Your Frequency, where we found a frequency of excellence today. We'll see you next time.
Great.